It's too late for me, and I always know that.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Trey Hearns of Truth. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my station on today. So we're getting ready to wrap up this month of Pride. But before this month is over, I wanted to revisit a story that took place in Newark. It's a story about a young lady who's actually a teenager, 15 years old, by the name of Sakia Gunn, that was murdered. She was stabbed to death because a man did not like the fact that she identified herself as being a lesbian. This story to me was kind of swept up under the rug. This is my first time ever hearing about this story, and this story happened in 2003. And this is my first time ever hearing about it. So it bothered me, and I wanted to do a story about this young lady who lost her life due to violence and because of a hate crime. So Nakia was 15 years old. She loved playing basketball. She told her family that she wanted to be in the WNBA. She was a straight A student, and she would go to a pier. This pier is where a lot of the gay people from Newark would hang out. It's a place where they were safe, a place where they fit in. They wasn't judged. They wasn't talked about. They wasn't ostracized. It's just a place that they can go and hang out and be loved and welcomed without having a problem. So on this day, she went down there. She hung out with her people. And when it was time for her to go, she was waiting on the bus. Her and a friend was waiting on a bus. All of a sudden, a white car pulls up, had two black men inside the car. They started, flirting at the young ladies, and they told them, hey, we're not interested. It made the men mad. They kept doing it. All of a sudden, they got out the car. It went from flirting to an argument to a fight, and then ended with her being stabbed to death, and she bled out on the pavement. So, like I said, this story to me was kind of swept up under the rug. It wasn't a lot of talk about this girl losing her life. And on top of that, the killer took a plea deal and he only got 20 years, which he should have had life because he took a young lady's life and he only got 20 years. I believe that when you take a life, you need to give your life when you take a life. But unfortunately, some people are able to take a person's life, serve time, and then get out. There was a story by a young man, his last name was Shepherd, who was beat and killed, and he was gay bashed. And his story made national news where everybody heard of it. I believe it happened somewhere in the late 90s, which a few years later, that's when Sakia's life was taken. And her story was swept up under the rug. And my guess is because she was African American. But her news should have got the same attention that Shepherd's story got. People have to understand that even though we all people, African American people have to teach their kids totally different from the way Caucasian and Hispanic and Asian people teach their kids, because black people, we're targeted. So there are certain things that African American people cannot do that other races can do. I always say that in every negative situation, you can learn something positive. During that time era, I graduated in 2001. So there was a lot of girls that were in school that were studs at the time, and they all played sports, and they would wear their hats backwards and pants sagging. But, we just looked it off as being, hey, they tomboys, they play basketball. But then after I graduated and 2002 came, 2002 era really gave birth for lesbians to come out the closet. So when I seen them out of high school, I was like, I knew it. I knew it. You understand what I'm saying? So the positive thing that I can say in this negative situation back then is that you have to be careful of the information that you release out your mouth. You have to know what's for you and what's not for you. So when I was saying that African American people, we have to teach our kids different from how Caucasian people teach their kids, because they can just walk down the street wearing a hoodie or go inside the store wearing a hoodie and wouldn't be targeted. But African Americans, we have to teach our kids, hey, you can't walk down the street wearing a hoodie and going inside the store with a hoodie, because you'll be targeted. I remember they came out with this style of a cell phone that looked like a gun, and you could put it on your hip, put your cell phone in it because it was a case. And I was telling a lot of black teenagers, do not get that, because we're targeted. They'll see that as a threat, and then all of a sudden your life will be taken. There are certain things that you're able to do that other races, that are able to do that African Americans cannot do. And during that time for black teens, men and women, to announce that they were homosexuals or lesbians, they was extra targeted. They couldn't live in their truth. And she identified as a self-identified lesbian, even though she was 15 years old and she was young. That's what she identified as. And men get jealous behind that. They do not like being turned down by a straight woman. So to get turned down by a gay woman really set fuel to the fire. He couldn't deal with it. So he decided to take upon himself to kill her. It's very sad and it's very, very tragic. But you have to be careful of the information that you let out your mouth. I understand living your truth, and there's nothing wrong with living in your truth. But even certain situations, you just have to use wisdom in it. It's not meant for everybody to know your business. Like people say, if you don't ask me, I'm not going to tell you. And I always tell people, if I don't make the announcement, you shouldn't make the announcement. And I tell you, I understand living in your truth. That's fine. In this Pride Month, live in your truth. Be comfortable with who you are. But there comes a time that you don't have to release everything out your mouth to let everybody know things about you, because you may live in your truth. And then you got somebody who might not like you living in your truth, and it's going to turn ugly for you. And unfortunately, this young lady lost her life. 15 years old. I keep saying young lady, but to me, she's a baby. This is a 15-year-old baby who lost her life. This is some mother's daughter. This is some father's daughter. She was her mother's oldest child. And the mother expressed in the courtroom that the last time she seen her daughter looked like this. And then the next time she seen her daughter was like this, laying inside of a casket. And it's heartbreaking for a mother to give birth to a child and have to lay their child down to rest because of somebody decided to end her life because of rejection. People today do not like being rejected. That's why I always tell people that be careful when you get into these lesbian relationships, because it's already hard finding people who are just like you, finding people who will love you and accept you. And then when it's time for the relationship to end, a lot of lesbians can't handle when a person tells them, I'm done with you. Especially if you date a straight woman and she decides that she wants to go back to dating men. A lot of lesbians can't handle that. And they will end your life. And then there's some straight women who get turned out by a stud. And then when that stud decides they don't want to be there no more, they get up and they leave. And then that straight woman can't handle that. And then she get angry and she'll end their life. This world is a dangerous world to be in. Yes, it's a loving, kind world sometimes, but it also can be deadly. Fatal attraction is real. This stuff can end your life. So I just wanted to retell this young lady's story. She passed away in May of 2003, and we just passed May, so it's coming up on her anniversary of the years that she's been gone. And it's very, very sad. It's probably been over 20 years since this young lady has been deceased, but I wanted to bring attention back to this story because this was a baby who lost her life just because someone could not handle rejection and being rejected by this young lady who did not like men. She was interested in women. And we have to respect people for whatever they whatever their preference is. My mama always told me, if a person tell you no, after the word no is harassment. And that's the reason why so many people are locked up, because they did not understand the word no. No means to stop, withdraw, release, to back up. No does not mean to continue to pursue, continue to harass. You understand? It means to let it go. So to the young lady who lost her life, my prayers are continue being with this family, because her birthday, she actually died before she could celebrate her birthday. But my prayers are always with the family, that they find a sense of hope, that they're able to continue to live their life knowing that their loved one is no longer here. But even during that time era, her death gave birth to a movement, and people was rattling in honor of this young lady who lost her life. So that's going to do it for this video. I'm Trey Hearns, the truth, and I'm where? I'm out of here.
It's too late for me, and I always know that. Never thought I'd be